I received a WhatsApp message from a friend who sent me what looks like a letter that was signed by the Minister of Police disestablishing the political killings task team.
You say in that paragraph that you had not received formal communication in this regard.
That is true, Commissioner. I had not received any communication from anyone with regard to the establishment of the team.
So you established on the 2nd of something that had transpired involving the task team before the 2nd, but you did not do so formally. You learned through a friend, so you say.
That is correct, Commissioner. I learned through a WhatsApp message with a copy of the letter that was sent by a friend.
What were the implications What was your understanding of the implications of the letter that you received? What is the notion of the disestablishment of the task team, and what are the implications thereof?
Well, the implications were going to be severe, Commissioner, because this is a team that was formed in 2018, where the executive or the head of the executive, which is the president of the country, was involved. A group of ministers, which we refer to as the Interministerial Committee, were overseeing the work of this team. Different steering committees that were charged with the responsibility to oversee the work of the team, as well as, more importantly, the budget, the financial cost that was given to the team. But most critical, commissioners, are the investigations that some of them were already in court and some of them were underway, and the clients, which is the community out there, the victims of crime, the families of the victims of crime that needed closure with regard to the work that the team was doing, were going to be affected by this letter. That's why I was surprised, because getting it from a private person who's not involved in police operations was a surprise.
Indeed. It was shocking.
Syndicate is taking.
Do you accept the responsibility on your part to substantiate fully, not necessarily today, but in the fullness of time, the conclusions you've drawn in that paragraph?
Yes, commissioners, evidence is there on the record, although some of it will perhaps require to be covered in camera, but the evidence is there that will support my conclusion on this. The individuals, the colleagues, as I said earlier, my July briefing was a collective effort. Men and women who are part of the investigation in Gauteng, who knows and they've gathered evidence to support the allegations that we ended up making. And they are going to come before this commission and they're going to present that evidence. We will be able, under oath, to confirm that indeed that is evidence that you've collected, and we have no reason not to believe that it is the real evidence that proves the linkages between the syndicates and the minister himself.
Hey, tada! We are back with another video. The page is called South African Late News. What we've just heard there is Tlantla Mkhwanazi saying there is a proof which show the linkage between the criminal syndicates and Mr. Senzo Mchunu. He said that evidence will be shown when the commission is not live on camera, meaning that we are not going to see some part of the evidence because it is too sensitive, because it might affect some cases that are currently in court. For instance, the case of Katiso Mlife and the other one of Vusumuzi Matlala. So they do not want to compromise that case. So today, the Badla Commission of Inquiry began as we expected. Mkhwanazi briefly spoke about his career and so on. So today it was just more of the admin side. But later on the day, he started to name drop and say who was doing what, when, and so on. The name that kept popping up is the name of Senzo Mchunu. Mchunu is the one that wanted to disband this KZN political task team. And what is clear is that Mchunu had no mandate to disband the task team because that is part of the operational matters, meaning that that decision should have been taken by Fani Masemula. The minister's job when it comes to police, it is to make policies that govern the police, not the operational matters. So Mchunu's actions were illegal. Mkwana has further stated that Mchunu's actions were bizarre to say the least. He said the minister was only appointed in May 2024 and did not appraise himself with the task team's work. All that he had to do was to look at some of the reports and then consult. But Mchunu was appointed in May, but by December he wanted to disband this task team. Clearly, Mchunu had ulterior motives. And how do you know that? We know based on the SMSs that were sent by Brown Mahot. Mkhwanazi alleges that Mchunu wanted to disband this task team because he wanted to protect certain individuals that were involved in criminal syndicates. For instance, KT Molefe, and then Vusimuzi Ket Matlala, the same Ket Matlala that failed to get bail yesterday. He was back in court, but the court said no, you cannot get bail because you are a flight risk. Remember that Ket Matlala, it was discovered that he had a fake Swaziland passport, so his bail bid failed dismally. So Matlala will remain behind bars. So Mkhwanazi alleges that Mchunu wanted to protect the likes of Matlala and KT Molefe. That's the main reason why Mchunu wanted to disband this task team. Mchunu had no knowledge or evidence to prove that this task team was useless. Because on Mchunu's letter, he stated that the task team has become wasteful and it is not producing results, whereas it is the opposite. We can see even now, once the 121 dockets were returned to the KZN Police team, more arrests have been taking place, which shows that this task team was working very well. And then Mr. Mkhwanazi, he said he received that directive from Mchunu to dissolve the team without proper considering the decision. He says Mchunu's decision was not well advised because it was not supported by anything. So the crux of Mkhwanazi's allegation is that Mchunu wanted to disband the task team because it was believed that the task team was investigating criminal syndicates in Gauteng. That is the crux of the matter. So Mchunu, when it comes to the commission, he will have to fully explain his main reason on why he wanted to disband this task team, because there was nothing to prove it. And then Mkhwanazi said evidence will be provided to prove the links between the syndicate and Mchunu. So once they are behind closed doors, Mkhwanazi, I'm sure, is going to reveal those SMSs and other information that we are not aware of, which will further link Senzo Mchunu. So in my view, I think Senzo Mchunu's political career is in ICU as we speak, because here he cannot escape because he was not wise, because Mchunu was communicating with people with SMSs and befriending characters such as Brown Mahot, who are not very smart. Brown Mahot is the one that sent an SMS to Mr. Mkhwanazi, showing him the letter that the task team will be disbanded. That letter was sent to Mkhwanazi by Brown Makgothi, but that was not even yet confirmed. So which means Brown Makgothi had that letter well in advance, meaning that he got it from Sozam Mchunu. Remember that Brown Makgothi is a civilian, he's not a policeman, so he should not be he should not be in possession of that letter before it was shown to Mkhwanazi, Fana Masemula, and so on. So that is a proof that Sozam Mchunu had close ties with those criminal syndicates. And it's going to be very tough for Mchunu to debunk all this because Mkhwanazi has files. And for me, the police minister has some serious questions that he needs to answer. The first one is, who did he consult before deciding to dissolve the political task team? Because in management, if we take any decision, it must be supported with facts or science and so on. So Mchunu must fully explain how did he arrive at the decision. And I think Mchunu is going to struggle because clearly he's not a smart fellow. I think he's a qualified teacher, so he was put in the SAPS, but that job is above his IQ. That is just my honest opinion. And then the second question that Mchunu will need to answer: why did he not raise concern with the police commissioner, Fani Masemula, and Tlhaka Mkhwanazi? Why did he not consult with Mkhwanazi and Fani Masemula before deciding to disband this task team? Because Masemula is the police commissioner, meaning that he's in charge of the entire police operation. So anything that happens in the police, it must be known by Fani Masemula. But it is the evidence before this commission that Masemula was only appraised later on, meaning that the decision to disband this political task team was taken by Mchunu and his cronies. And then the third question that Mchunu must answer: why did he not consult the interministerial committee before disbanding the task team? Mkhwanazi told us that there is a committee which is made up of Department of Justice, Police, and I forgot that third one. So the task team was created by those cluster. I would say that's secret cluster. But the decision to disband it was only taken by Mchunu alone. So it shows that Mchunu wanted to take a shortcut in order to protect his friends. So that's a question that Mchunu will have difficulty in answering to. And then the fourth question is, what due diligence was applied in moving the 121 docket from the task team to the headquarters in Pretoria? Because those dockets were taken to Pretoria and then they were not investigated, meaning that serious crime was not being investigated because the dockets were sitting in Sibiya's office, meaning that the criminals were on the road and nobody was investigating those dockets, which is a risk to the country. So Mchunu will have to explain what due diligence was applied in moving those 121 dockets from task team to Pretoria, because no investigation was done. You remember that Mkhwanazi told the commission that he was even phoned by some of the families of the victims, questioning what is the update or what is the status of the investigation, whereas the dockets were gathering dust in Sibiya's office. So Mchunu will need to come up with a good answer, because it's going to be tough. And then the fifth question that Mchunu must answer, it is very important: whose advice did you take in disbanding the task team? Is there anybody? Is there any expert that he consulted before disbanding the task team? So Mchunu will have to answer those questions, and I don't think that he's going to be able to do that, because it's clear that he only got advice from the likes of Brown Makgothi and those that were in those criminal syndicates. So for him, I think it's going to be hard. I think his political career is just over now. And I think Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa should have actually fired Senzo Mchunu, because those SMSs alone that were sent by Brown Mokhoti prove that Mchunu was working in cahoots with criminals. Mkhwanazi also alleged that the trip of Senzo Mchunu to the January 8th statement in Cape Town earlier this year, it was bankrolled by Brown Mokhoti. So now, as a minister, how do you explain that payment? Because Mkhwana said there's a proof of payment, so it's something that he cannot deny. So Mchunu is in big trouble here. He's in big trouble. And then there's this guy here, Shadrack Sibiya. Shadrack Sibiya did not have a problem with the task team up until members from the KZN task team were moved to Gauteng to help there. It shows that the task team, once they got into Gauteng, they touched the wrong men. They touched the friends of the elites. They touched the friends that were connected to Sibiya and co. So for Sibiya, there was no problem when the task team was investigating crimes committed in KZN. But once they landed in Gauteng, then that's where Sibiya started having problems, and then started saying there's the money issue and so on and so on. So Sibiya himself, I think after this commission is done, I think a recommendation will be made that one, Sibiya must be taken to a DC, and we will know the outcome of that DC will be. It will be straight dismissal. But I'm sure he's going to come to this commission and try and make his case and defend himself. But looking at things as it is, I think Mkhwanazi knows his stuff, and he can speak for himself and back up what he's saying with evidence. The fact that there is going to be a closed hearing, it shows that there are more receipts than Mkhwanazi is going to bring. But now they do not want to compromise the cases that are before court, so they have to go behind closed doors. So tomorrow I'm hoping that, or today I'm hoping that Mkhwanazi will show more information, or will reveal more information about the links that are between the politicians and the criminal syndicates, because that is the crux of this case: political interference in order to protect criminals. That is the crux of that matter. But something that is going to help Mkhwanazi ukuthi the arrests are happening now, meaning that those dockets that were taken by Sibiya had merit. They had evidence against all those criminals that are now appearing before courts. So we know that Matlala was denied bail because the judge or the magistrate said there is a strong case against him. There is evidence against him. We know that Matlala tried to unalive his then ex-girlfriend Tebogo Bejan allegedly. So the fact that bail was denied, it shows that there's a strong case against him, and it proves that there's a merit in what Mkhwanazi had said. So now the issue of the linkages, I think it's something that's going to be very interesting for me, because that is how you connect the dots. You say this guy contacted so and so on this date, then they have to explain why did you do so, and then we come to Ubheki, because I think Ubheki might be the one that introduced Senzo Mchunu to Ket Matlala and these guys, because remember that that tender of 360 million that was awarded to Uvusumuzi Matlala, it happened during the time when Bheki was the minister. And then Bheki also, it has been proven that he stayed at Uvusumuzi Matlala's penthouse in what's called this place here in Zimbabwe Lodge, meaning that Bheki had a close tie with this guy. You cannot just go to someone's penthouse unless you know him personally. So I think Bheki is the one that might have introduced Sezomchunu to these crazy fellows. But Bheki will also come here and explain himself, because on the day that Ket Matlala was supposed to be arrested, he phoned him more than 10 times, and all those calls were missed calls. So now you ask yourself, what was so urgent that Cele had to phone so many times? Clearly, if you use logic, you can only come up to one conclusion. He was trying to warn him about the imminent arrest. That is the only logical conclusion that one can come up to. But Cele will come and explain himself, and I can't wait to hear what he's going to say. But all I can say is that Mkhwanazi ubabambe ngani ngama-scrutums washo njalo uMalema. So I thank you for watching. Please, let's continue to watch and follow these proceedings today on SABC, ENCA, and all other media platforms. Thank you.